Well, welcome. I'm Perry Williams, and this is the Hamilton County TV Coaches Show. Today I'm with head girls basketball coach of the Huskies, Keegan Cherry. Welcome, Keegan.
Thanks, Perry. Glad to have you here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, you got a game coming up here in which we will be broadcasting Friday night here from the Husky Dome against a 4A school and a Hoosier Crossroads Conference school. You'll be playing the Fishers Tigers.
Yeah, it's be a huge challenge for us. I mean, you look at our schedule though, and we have several huge challenges. But you know, Fishers being a sort of a county school, and I wouldn't call it a rivalry. I mean, first time we've played since I've been here. But obviously the kids know each other and familiar with both programs. So we're looking forward to the opportunity, and hopefully we can compete and put on a good show.
Well, you know, you think about it, you look at. You know, already your schedule is 6 and 7, and you know there's a couple games there that you probably wish you had back, that you possibly could have won, or you know, but could have, should have, would have, you know, all those kind of things. But you, the comment I want to make, you playing a 4A school, Fishers, is not a big deal to your team at this stage of the season because you've already played 6 4A schools,
right?
And some very good 4A schools.
Yeah, and that's you know, we've talked about it several times, and we want to play to a standard, and whether we're playing a 1A, 2A, 3A, or 4A, it's all about playing to a standard and trying to do the things that we want to do. And I always tell the girls, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's why we put together the schedule that we have, and then ultimately it's about having an opportunity to compete and play for championships. And when you're playing for February and then get to the tournament, hopefully we're playing our best basketball, and by playing these quality teams, programs, and coaches, hopefully that prepares us for February.
You know, because you know the 2A schools that you do play, of course, most people know you're a 3A school, are in your conference, and that's just the cards you're dealt. But
right.
You know, Tipton's a very good basketball team, whether they're 2A or 3A. Right. They have very good players, and they're running along right at 10-2 right now.
Very good program.
Let's talk a little bit about this Fishers game. I watched a couple videos on them today, and I know that you have taken a look at some things on Fishers. What do you see from Lauren Vall's team that?
Well, she does a tremendous job with them. I mean, those girls compete and they get after it. I mean, defensively, they're really good. They're going to be the bigger, faster, stronger team on Friday night, which isn't really uncommon for us. I mean, we're going to have to rely on playing super smart, being intelligent with the basketball, not turning it over, and then matching that physicalness. I mean, physical in our blockouts, meeting every pass, doing all those little things to sort of counteract not being the bigger, faster, stronger team.
Absolutely, because you know, really, in the one game that I saw, Fishers played, I think it was Bishop Chittard. You know, their bigs underneath struggled a little bit, being able to get rebounds because Chittard was very, very aggressive. In the other game that I watched, the two bigs, the 2 6-footers, had their way because they weren't getting any challenges from the other team. So that's important. That just what you were talking about, it's exactly how it can make the difference in a ball game.
Yep. Lauren Wiley, Michaela Moran, really all of us, we're going to have to make it personal. Every possession's going to be a fight, and hopefully we can, you know, hang around, be there in the fourth quarter, and somehow get to the finish line first. Yeah,
I think that's always important, and, you know, basically that's the way you have to play. I mean, because, you know, being a 3A school and different things, you don't have quite the depth. You know, because both games that I watched, she's playing 8 to 10 players every game, and but I thought it was kind of interesting that she sometimes played both the bigs, both the 6-footers in there.
Right. Yeah, and you know, I anticipate we'll see that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at our roster outside of Moran, they're going to have a significant height advantage.
Absolutely.
So, you know, pounding that thing inside's not a bad idea playing against us.
But the one thing about it, you know, even though, what is Wiley? How tall is she?
Well, I think she's a legitimate 5'10".
But she plays big. I mean, she's a strong gal and
super strong.
And
she is
and physical. So, You know, that should be. But you know, the one thing about it, they got. You know, there's only 2 seniors on that Fishers team, okay, and those 2 sophomores in Burton and Emerson are.
Burton's really good.
Yeah, one averages 12.2 and Emerson averages 6.8, and then you know Perriman, you know she's a junior and she's been around a couple years, so you know, and you could tell that she's a leader out there on that floor. I mean, she slows it down,
right?
She makes sure she does a lot of the little things. It's important.
You bet. It's going to be a huge challenge for us. There's no doubt about it. Hopefully, we can compete.
Well, let's kind of talk about what you think about. So far, you know, you're 13 games in, you're over halfway here. Of course, you know as well as I do, you're playing for February too, and that's an important time. Do you feel like that pretty much the entire season so far, these 13 games that you've competed?
I think for the most part we have, and I think, you know, if you recall the first time that we talked early in the season, my main concern, or one of my main concerns early, was how are we going to replace that leadership that we got out of those 3 seniors last year. And I think the first part of the season, you know, maybe we've kind of lacked some of that leadership, to be honest. That being said, the last week to week and a half, I've started to see a little bit of a change there. The mindset, the mentality, our approach to practice has been better. So I think maybe we're turning the corner a little bit on that. And if that's the case, I think the second half of the season we could see dividends being paid from that schedule that we played early on. But again, our margin for error is just so slim against the teams that we're playing that we've got to do all of those little things. We've got to hold each other accountable, and that comes from that leadership, from Lauren Wiley, from Bailey Runner, from Jillian Oswald, our 3 captains. So if we can continue that improvement and that trend in terms of leadership, I think we'll be in a good spot the second half of the season.
Well, I think, you know, if you look at how things have turned out so far this season, you know, and I remember in that first interview, because I had the advantage, I went back and listened to it this morning. You were commenting in that interview that those first 3 games, not a whole lot of people expected you to win any of them,
right?
Okay, but you did. You went to Noblesville and you beat Noblesville,
right?
Okay, and after that victory at Noblesville, you rolled off what, four victories in a row, okay,
right,
to make it 5 in a row, okay. Then you hit a little slump there. Mount Vernon, you know, Coach Shelton does a great job.
Got a nice team, really.
Got a nice team, and you know, from being around here and being from the area, Mount Vernon, Greenfield, Pendleton, you know, they're always going to be there.
Right. They're always going to be competitive. They're all those programs that we've mentioned. They're well coached. They've got nice players. They play hard. So being able to get a quality win against Noblesville, who's extremely well coached, lots of tradition there in that program. Somebody told me it was the first time since like the early 80s, 1984, that Heights has beat Noblesville. So I was happy for the girls, happy for the program and the community to be able to win there. Then Greenfield Central, you know, we win in overtime, showed some toughness there. So, yeah, these programs, it doesn't get any easier with Fishers coming up. We still got Westfield, still got Lafayette, Jeff. So we've definitely got our work cut out.
Yeah, and you know, that conference game with Tipton at Tipton that's not a fun place to play when you're a Hamilton Heights Husky.
Tipton will be favored in that game as well, I would think.
Yeah,
Ranked in the top 5 in 2A.
And being there. I mean, that's a tough place to play in.
Yeah, Crawford will be the most athletic girl on the floor.
Absolutely.
So we'll have our hands full there as well.
But, during those losses, you know, that 5-game little skid there, you hit some pretty good teams. I mean, you battled a very good Norwell team, which is 10-1, okay?
Yeah, it's one.
And ranked number 3. What can you say about Northwestern? I mean, that's a powerhouse. I mean, you know,
very good. Yeah, I mean, we could play our best basketball and not win that one.
Yeah,
I mean, frankly, they're just really good. Again, Kathy does a great job. So when you're really good on the sidelines and you've got players like Layden and Bostic, and then the pieces that go with them, that's got to be a lot of fun to coach there at the moment.
But you had to be really excited with the win against Newcastle. I mean, you came back after those 5 losses, and now you got that win, and you got Fishers coming up. What about the Newcastle game? Did you feel like as a team, you played pretty well? Or?
I thought our defensive effort against Tabor was phenomenal. Yeah. When we held her to 15 points, and she had been averaging 25 on the season. So I thought we did a really good job of containing her. They kind of beat us on the backboard there in the first half, and in the second half we were able to kind of control the backboard a little bit and got some stops and made our free throws down the stretch. Lauren Wiley was fantastic. I think she had a career high 18, close to 18 and 10. I think she had a double-double. Bailey Runner was 12 of 12 from the free throw line down the stretch. Jillian Oswald did a great job on Tabor in man situations, guarding Tabor when we went man. So it was a team effort against a potential sectional opponent. So it's always good. I think playing a potential sectional opponent in the season, in the regular season, getting that win is always good for the confidence going into a tournament. Now, the flip side of that, it's always hard to beat a team twice.
Absolutely, absolutely. But the job that your girls did against Tabor, and like we said, that's a talented player. And you and I talked before the game and on Saturday, and you made the comment she's going to be tough to
she's
handle.
Really good.
So she's really good. So you mentioned the sectional a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about that sectional, because this time of year, the Sagrum numbers don't mean much to me early on. But when you get 12, 13 games in the season, I think those numbers, they tell a little bit of story here.
I agree.
And you think about going in that Newcastle sectional now, you got Jay County, it's riding along at 6-6. You're 6-7. Newcastle 6-7, and Yorktown 6-5. So 2 things are going to tell you. Number one, the draw is huge. Okay,
right.
Which it always is. Okay, but the draw is huge, and there's and you got Delta in there at 6-6. So and Yorktown 6-5. So you got 5 teams there that it's kind of a toss up, but you're all pretty close to each other. As far as record wise.
And if you look at those top 4, by Sagron ratings, if you look at the top 4, they all play a very competitive schedule too.
Absolutely.
I think everybody's playing a top 100 schedule there too. So the records can be a little bit misleading. We're all right around the 500 mark there, but playing quality opponents. So it's going to be a very competitive sectional at Newcastle. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, but it always makes you feel good that when your team ranks 20th on the strength of schedule, and the next one is Newcastle at 45. So it makes you feel a little bit better, but it has to be one on the floor.
Sure, right. You're just hoping that schedule has prepared you for February. Once we play that final game against Lafayette Jeff in the regular season, reset. Everybody's 0-0.
Yeah.
So it's a new season. So we got to just continue to enjoy the process, continue to get better each day. Each opponent is sort of a measuring stick. It's a test. And hopefully when we get to the final, being sectional, that we're playing our best basketball.
And knowing the job that Lauren's done over at Fishers in her second year there, especially taking over in that first year really late. I mean, she then coming back this season in fact, she was only interim that first year.
She does a great job.
She does a great job. She's a very good coach. So that both teams will be ready as far as coaching wise, but unfortunately you got to win it on the floor, don't you?
That's right. Yeah, they're going to be prepared. I know they've requested film from us, and I've got film on them, so I know they're doing their job, we're doing our job, and we'll see what happens on Friday.
All right. Well, once again, we will be here at the Husky Dome on Friday night, and obviously we air the JV game. We don't announce it, but we do air it on the channel for you to watch it with the PA system, which is pretty good here and picks up some of the sound. But we've got pretty good numbers of JV games that we've done all season long that way, because parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles like to see their
absolutely
their kids play. So it's good, and of course I'll be here. I think either Jack Russell or Brad Silbert will be here with me, and we'll broadcast the varsity game, and we're certainly excited to do that. I know we got a couple more games coming up we'll be broadcasting here, so it's always fun to come to the Husky Dome, and you guys always treat us well. We appreciate what you do, and
thanks for being here. And that'll be our last one before Christmas, so just want to wish everybody out there from Husky Girls Basketball happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and maybe we'll see you next year.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Yep.